We're very happy to have you with us in this program, Mr. Kobayashi, and I'm sure there are millions, thousands, millions of people who can hardly wait to listen to you.
Thank you very much for your nice introduction.
Okay, and well, let me start off by asking Mr. Kobayashi how you made your first contact with English, as I'm sure all the listeners of this program are totally charmed with your beautiful English.
When you say the encounter or contact, what do you mean, like at school? Or?
Yes, that's right.
Well, I started in middle school, first year, just like most of the Japanese. But before that, I have an encounter, exciting encounter with the English language. You know, that's about over 30 years ago. In my kitchen, in those days, radio was the center of entertainment in the family, right? They had a radio in my kitchen, and children were not allowed to touch the dial. But when nobody was around, I touched the dial. I came up with a funny-sounding language. That was English. And I remember, I don't know how old I was then, but I remember I stood motionless for, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes. I was so much intrigued with the sound.
How interesting.
And the next day, I was if you know the comedian Tamari, I was copying the language without knowing any words. So I was what you call a great mimicker? Or
yes, right.
I was
mimic.
a great... So I was a great copycat, maybe, like some people say.
So maybe that's the secret of why his English is so good.
And, of course, the first year at middle school, I studied English like any other students. And I had a great teacher. He was an excellent teacher, as a matter of fact. He was a very strict one, and he would let us carry a small mirror. And all you got to do is look at yourself, at your mouth in the mirror, and he would correct me, correct everybody in the class. I mean, like,
For pronunciation.
Right. I mean, to have the right sound, you have to have the right position of the tongue, and for right vowel, you have to have the right
mouth shape.
Yes,
right.
Yes, that's it.
And that helped me. That gave us a great start.
That's a very exciting way, and it's nice to hear that you had your first encounter through radio.
Yes.
Now, you were studying English when you were a student. I wonder, as well as having your high school English, did you go to any language schools, for example?
No.
You didn't?
No.
So you taught yourself, then, mostly?
Mostly.
With the help of the radio programs or other...
Radio program and music. Yes, I used to sing along with the popular songs coming from radio, and I would repeat the sentence until I started with a song.
Yes.
You come up with when you listen, you don't have the words in those days. I mean, you have to catch the words from radio. Now you have a lot of records in the record shops, right?
Yes.
But you have to write down in Japanese phonetic first, right?
Yes.
And you have to figure, what does this mean? And you look up the dictionary, and you have the idea of what the singer is singing, and you repeat. You repeat or you sing with, like in my days, it was Elvis Presley or...
That's right, yes.
So you really had to rely on your ears for transcription.
Right.
So you think that listening is very important then?
Listening is very important.
As part of learning English or, in fact, any other language?
Any other language. But I always think, you have to be able to listen to speak, but you have to be able to speak to listen. So you have to be doing both things at the same time.
So what was your secret? Would you say that your particular secret was music?
Music,
songs?
Music, and even my textbook, all the sentences. In those days, they let you learn by heart, right?
Yes, that's right.
I think I until I was in the second year. I had the first year textbook. Of course, sentences were easy, but I learned by heart. I mean, that's just repeating them.
Repeating them over and over again until you got them perfectly.
And did you go to see a lot of, say, American movies?
Yes.
And do you think it helped you a lot?
A lot. I mean, this helped the acting part.
Yes.
When you speak English, you have to first copy, and then you have to be sort of acting.
So you have to act out of the lesson.
And watching all the Hollywood pictures, in those days, everything was Hollywood.
Yes,
it was
yes.
so much fun. And I would sit through for the same picture, twice, 3 times a day.
Yes, yes. Well, would you advise the students listening then to make their learning of English a more active learning?
So learning English in action.
That's right, English in action rather than...
There are a lot of things I have, in those days, if I think back, I was doing a lot of whispering.
You talk to yourself, I mean.
Whisper helps, because, when you whisper, see, hello everyone, welcome. When you whisper, your consonants get strong.
I see.
You have to carry yourself far away when you whisper. So
Yes, that's right.
you build up your muscles around your mouth. Hey, come here. Hey, come here. It's see, whispering.
You need more air.
Right.
You need more air. Yeah.
So you get the right kind of breathing, and the muscles, especially with the consonants. Consonants get really strong with the whispering exercise. So if you have a textbook like the textbook of this month,
Yes.
on Sunday morning at the Livingstons, Alex, the youngest son, starts the day yelling to his parents. Instead of reading that ordinary voice, you can, one Sunday morning at the Livingstons, Alex, the youngest son. I mean, by doing that, that's a great exercise.
That'll help to breathe from the diaphragm, right?
Right,
What we call in Japanese, hushiki kokyu.
Yes. And what helped me was I invented a great monitoring system. In those days, there was no tape recorder, nothing.
Right,
but
yes.
if you remember the Bee Gees,
Yes,
one of them sings with their hands covered on the ear like this.
That's right.
You can listen to yourself.
You can listen to yourself. And plus, I had a pencil box, the plastic one, and if you put that over your ear like a telephone receiver, you can really get yourself. Please do that and speak. This is not a television, but if you can go like this, you can monitor yourself, and you can have the clear sound. And I was reading textbook like this, and singing like this, and singing. This helps. I mean, you feel like you're a better singer.
That's right.
Or sing in the bathroom, for
Yes, I
example.
was going to say, it's like singing in the bath.
Bathroom
You think you're
singer.
marvellous then.
Yes, that's a great exercise.
Well, those are very practical hints. Very good practical hints.
Yes, and everybody can do it at home.
Absolutely.
Right.
By himself.
Yes, yes.
And I have
Don't
to
even need a tape recorder for that.
Well, tape recorder will help, of course. I mean, they can really, if you have the right ear, you can catch your faults, mistakes.
Right. Yes, yes. I understand you lived in America for some time?
No, I have never lived. I visited America very often, but never lived there.
Can I ask you, what took you there? Why did you visit so many times?
Oh, I visited the States on when we had a special radio show
I see.
covering American music and featuring lifestyle of young Americans and music. And I used to have a small shop in Harajuku, and I used to sell imported curios, very cheap ones,
Yes.
the old clothes, recycled clothes.
Oh, yes.
And in my business, a lot of people go to the States, but the other companies pay you. I wanted to go to the States with my own money, so
Yes.
plus I wanted to make some money on the side. So my wife and I had a little shop there, and to buy some of the American goods. I would go to Los Angeles, some parts.
Did you used to go to the swap meets, they call them in America? They're like big markets, right, in the car park, and you can buy everything for absolutely a very, very small price, very low price.
Swap mart, you know who started that?
No, I don't.
The hippies in the 60s.
Really?
See? Swap mart. You go to swap mart, you like this pair of jeans, and you can swap. You take off your jeans and get that one, and you leave your
swap.
Yeah,
that was that was the beginning of the real swap meet.
So it is something like a flea market? Is it outdoor market?
I would go there and buy all the things, you know, cheap.
Yes.
Well, back to talking about the speaking English, all right? And do I understand that by the time you went to America for the first time, had you been able to speak English fairly well?
Yes, I was speaking then. So I can say my English is 100% made in Japan.
Just incredible.
Yes, it certainly is. Was it during that time, when you visited America many times, was it during that time you decided to make your career as a disc jockey?
No, this is this may become a long story, but making it very short. When I was copying after Elvis Presley or Rick Nelson, Paul Anka, I wanted to be a singer like them.
I see.
You could have made it.
Yes.
You could have made it.
I think so.
But my love for music, the popular music, was so strong. When I was in college, I started to work as a part-time disc jockey for some coffee shops.
Oh, I see.
And plus, I have a license for tourist guide.
Oh,
And
really?
you know, when you're a tourist guide, you show people around.
Yes.
And I used to visit one nightclub where they have a Japanese show.
Yes.
And there was an MC there who liked to take days off once in a while. He asked me to MC at the nightclub.
Oh, that was
And at the nightclub, half of the crowd are English-speaking people, and you have to be bilingual.
That's right.
And that was the beginning of announcing in front of people to the microphone.
So it was kind of accidental, although you were very interested in music.
Partly accidental.
Are you very musical yourself? I mean, do you play the piano or guitar?
I play
or
a little guitar, piano. My mother was a piano teacher.
Yes. So you're hereditary, isn't it?
And what are some of the most difficult things, I wonder, or most, say, enjoyable things about your career? Probably it's difficult to say in a few words.
Well, I get the same question from a lot of people, but I always say what I do is not special from what other people are doing. You have to, of course I like songs, but sometimes you get tired of listening to the same song all over. I mean, plus you get the record very early, see?
Right.
And by the time everybody's singing the song, I mean, you have listened to it hundreds of times.
Yes. You're looking for something.
But you have to pretend.
Right.
As if you were really attracted by that still.
Is it difficult to keep that enthusiasm? You know, disc jockeys have such enthusiasm for every record.
Yes, you have to.
You really have to. Do you think that's part of you, or do you have to really try very hard sometimes?
It's basically it's business, and I mean it's so funny. This is like an instinct. I mean, you hear the music and you get excited.
Well, I really wish I didn't have to interrupt you, Mr. Kobayashi, but that's all the time we have today. And could you come again next week to talk to us? Okay, everybody, this concludes today's lesson, and I hope you'll be joining us next time. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
担当は東後勝也。
Hope you're fine. Today, we are very happy to have Katsuya Kobayashi as the guest of this month in this program again.
Yes, that's right. And this will be the second half of our interview. And today we'll talk about the many facets of music. I'm sure you'll enjoy listening to Mr. Kobayashi again. Welcome back to our guest hour, everyone. We're delighted you could join us again. But for those who weren't able to be with us last week, I'll tell you a little about this month's guest. Mr. Kobayashi is one of the most popular Japanese music disc jockeys in Japan. And he probably really doesn't need very much introduction. But I'll just tell you very quickly, he does various TV and radio shows. And last week we had a lovely conversation, and he gave us a lot of hints, practical hints, on learning English. Thank you for coming again, Mr. Kobayashi.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here again.
First of all, I'd like to ask you one question.
Yes.
Music really is a universal language.
Yes.
And we can say there's no musical language barrier between young people in the West and Japan. But maybe there are some differences in the way they respond to music. Can you tell us any differences that you've found in the way that Western people or Japanese people respond to your kind of music?
Well, Japanese is more, Japanese youngsters especially, they accept more music, variety of music than European or American. Like the American youngsters, they don't accept other languages, for example. I mean, other songs sung in English. I mean, I have been in quite a few clubs where they sing some Mexican song, and a lot of them are, hey, sing English, sing English.
Oh,
sing English.
Yes.
Japan, a lot of, English songs are imported. French songs are imported.
That's right.
And Latin songs are imported. And they listen.
Variety.
They appreciate.
That's interesting.
And the thing is, like if I listen to French song, I don't understand the words, but I don't get nervous. I try to get myself into music, so I would cover the words. I mean,
yes. So you think Japanese people have more feeling for music?
If you put it
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I think that's true. And I'm not bragging about our people, but that's the fact. We are very versatile, see? And I think this is very good for Japanese. I mean, we have, this way we have cosmopolitan elements.
Yes.
We're ready to accept all sorts of music, for our entertainment.
But this will never happen in America.
No, you're right. You're right. Yes, that's very interesting.
Yes, and I wish I didn't have to say this, Mr. Kobayashi, but I don't follow music very well. And could I ask what kind of music you mostly say comment on, and or in your term probably you
work around.
Yes.
Well, there's a American trade magazine called Billboard or Cashbox, which are used in NHK too, and they have their categories: the overall pop music, and jazz, and rhythm and blues or soul music, or they have country and western. Plus, they have the UK charts and some Latin American music charts.
I see.
I mostly introduce popular music, plus a little bit of jazz.
So things like sort of top 10, top 40?
Top 40, yes.
I see. Now, I know a lot of people are wanting to know the answer to this question, and that is about you. What type of music do you personally like best, and why?
Maybe I have told you this before, last time when I was here. I got baptized with a rock and roll. Elvis Presley and Rick Nelson, Eddie Cochran. So my love for rock and roll lives now. And so far I've listened to the Rolling Stones and some of the people from the punk rock or new wave field. Yes. I used to like Sex Pistols.
Oh, yes, I can remember those, yes.
The real wild music.
Yes. What about the Police? They're a bit wild, too. They came to Japan not so long ago.
Yes. They're pretty much sophisticated in...
Yes, they're really...
the same.
Are they the ones that jump up and down on the stage and
Most
throw
of them
instruments around and things like that?
No, yeah, they do, but they don't break them, though. Or they don't have fight on the stage, right? I mean, some of the the English people do. I mean, English groups.
Which is strange because I always thought that the English people were rather like the Japanese, more reserved. But when you see them breaking instruments on the stage, they're not so reserved.
Well, that's part of their message. I mean, I would never blame them. I mean, I can understand. I mean, some people does it for theatrical reason, but when it comes out natural, like burning electric instruments, or yes.
That seems a little strange to me.
Yes, and can you tell us a bit about the audience response? I mean, the differences between, say, responses we get from Japanese audience and American or Western audience. It seems to me that, Japanese are not always trying to participating in the total performance. So there seems to be a line between, say, audience and performers.
Well, this is changing.
Is it?
10 years ago, what you said was very much true. British or American group would perform, and they wonder, they worry so much.
Yeah, because
is our music accepted? But at the encore, they have the explosion of hands, But this is like 10 years ago. Now, people act just about the same way as the American audience, especially the teenage people. I mean, as soon as they hit the note, they go,
that's good. And what sort of music, or to be more specific, Mr. Kobayashi, what I would say quality of music do you think would appeal to, say, Japanese youngsters most?
There are many kinds, like there are rock and roll freaks. That's why, or like if you listen to rock and roll, we use the term graduate. You graduate rock and roll. You go into some more soft sound or sophisticated sounds. So as long as it is good in its own field, there are enough Japanese who follow. Understand?
Yes.
So from rock and roll to classical music.
Yes. Yes, I notice in music now they're mixing a lot of modern music and classics.
So do you mean that just as we outgrow our clothes, do they outgrow, say, one type of music, then they start taking interest in another type?
Yes.
I see.
That's why jazz, you might have noticed, jazz music is very strong in Japan.
Very strong. You have the most marvelous jazz musicians and marvelous jazz clubs here, and all over the place.
Yes.
Just little jazz clubs here,
live,
which have wonderful music. Well, going on from there, everything is changing in the world today, and music is no exception to this. What are some of the most noticeable changes in music?
In the popular music, in
your field, in the last couple of decades or so?
Well, even the last, 10 days. Yeah,
yes.
Excuse me, 10 years.
Well,
sorry,
they keep on changing,
days,
but
years, of course.
see, you have witnessed all the changes in fashions and how they grow their hair.
Yes.
Like they used to have long hair back in the 60s. I don't think there's a very big, drastic change after rock and roll is introduced in the popular music. But they have been affecting fashions. Before, I think, fashion, people who create fashions was the foremost. But I think musicians, the creators of music, they influence a lot of fashions.
That's interesting. So you think there's a direct relationship between, for example, like punk rock music.
Punk rock.
You have to wear certain clothes.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, like, the days of Bob Dylan?
Yes.
They had the message.
That's right, yes.
Well, and punk, they have the message. The
way they show is different. The way
they speak for themselves, for their generation.
Well, what about all the coloured hair and the strange clothes that the punk rockers
They want
wear?
to be different.
I see.
Different from what your parents tell you to be,
Yes. But the music, you say, has a message?
Music or the lifestyle together have their message.
And Mr. Kobayashi, apart from doing the job of disc jockey. I understand that you were involved in other types of work, and could you just share with us some of the interesting experiences along that line, like, say, dubbing the films or production of the records and the like?
The latest one I did was for the American picture called Cannonball. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the picture, but they could not recognize my voice because that was only the voiceover for Hong Kong MC. I watched the movie myself and I couldn't believe it. It was not my voice. No, it was not my voice anymore. It was part of this Chinese gentleman from Hong Kong.
So you went right into the character.
Well, you have to
Character took you over.
It must be a very funny feeling there on your part.
It's a strange feeling. If you listen to yourself in the tape recorder, I mean, to your own voice, you remember the first time you first listened to yourself? That's it.
It really does sound strange.
And the production of the record, I understand that.
Oh, yes, I have the Snake Man Show. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's the combination of comedy and music, and we try to have our own message.
But how did you choose that name, if I could ask?
Snake Man. Well, I was born in 1941. We have our zodiac calendar, and I'm a serpent, snake.
I see. Yes, I see that follows.
Well...
now, you've had a long and very interesting career, and you must have met some fascinating people along the way. Can you share some of these experiences with us?
Oh, yes. I have met a lot of musicians, for example, some politicians.
Oh, really?
Like, you know, the former president of the United States, Carter?
Yes, yes.
I met his brother, not Carter... Mr. Carter,
Do you mean
his
Billy
brother,
Carter?
Billy Carter, his uncle. When we visited the southern part of the United States for a radio show.
Interesting.
And,
he's quite a character.
Yes, he's
very, very funny man.
Sensational at one time.
And I met most of the popular musicians who visit Japan.
How fascinating.
And, Mr. Kobayashi, this may be a difficult question, but what do you think is music to you in a few words?
To me, first, as a disc jockey, music is my business. But music is love, in my belief. It's like, you know, I go for rock and roll, but they sing love to me. In their words, they might not be singing the overall deep love, but like if you look at their life, like the late John Lennon, he was a rock and roller, but what he did was love, music, love. So this might not be a right answer, but to me, music is love.
Do you think we can unite the world with music?
I don't know.
Let's hope so.
This is very hard.
Well, I do wish we had more time to talk to Mr. Kobayashi because it's been so exciting, so interesting, and very enlightening to talk to you as well.
Thank you very much.
And really very nice to have you with us. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. I'd like to come back again.
Oh, I hope so. Yes, sometime.
Everybody, this concludes the show, and I hope you'll be joining us again. So long, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you, and goodbye.
関東は東